Hi there. So my name is Keith Griggs, and I just wanted to talk to you about the incredible opportunity that property investing has. I want to just go over a few case studies of some of the deals that I've done, which have been particularly good, and also talk about possibilities of, for example, us working together or you investing with me in some way. So let's get started. So first of all, property investing is fantastic. It's served me really well over the years. It's given me a lot more time, a lot more money, potentially a lot more wealth when I eventually retire. And also, I've not had to do stressful full-time jobs that I used to do in the past and long commutes into London. So it's been fantastic. And also, of course, it's all about helping others to provide high quality rental accommodation, to assist people with problems selling their property, and also to provide high returns to investors. So we try and structure our joint ventures in the following way. We use this Waters model, where W is win-win, A stands for alignment of timing and values, T is for track record, E for multiple exit strategies, so we have everything covered, and R is looking for a really good relationship, long-term relationship between us. And S is all about the structure and how we formalise the ventures. And this formula was created by Kevin Whelan from Wealth Builders. So, story so far. So this is the distant past. I qualified as a chartered accountant at Deloitte many years ago, and this is me about 30 years ago. I was responsible for doing the consolidated accounts, consolidated European accounts at Canon's head office in Amsterdam. You can see that box of floppy disks there, if you remember that. and one of the highlights of that time working for Canon was a business trip out to Tokyo, where I met all the other financial controllers. All these people were reporting to me, giving me their accounts every month, and I used to consolidate them all together, and here's us all doing some karaoke, which is they're quite big on in Tokyo. So, and after that, I sort of left accounting for a while, and I got into digital marketing and reputation management, and I was on national TV 6 times. It's me on the BBC Parliamentary Channel, and these others are on Sky News on their sort of business news section. And I was also featured in all these newspapers, Times, Telegraph, etc., and even the Ottawa Citizen. So this is my time working in reputation management and digital marketing. But now I've gone back into accounting, and I've developed my own accounting and tax practice, specialised in helping property investors and developers. So you can certainly save a lot of tax if you structure things properly. So and we can also do bookkeeping and all the other sort of stuff. So get in touch with me if you want to talk about that. So let's get back to property. So this was my first investment property, and I can honestly say it changed my life for the better in a very significant way, and I'm so happy I did this. So this was a 5-bedroom townhouse in Newham in London, and what happened like a year or two before, I'd been renting all my life up until a year or two before, but then I bought my house where I live, and then what happened, the property market was going up quite strongly in those days, so after like a year or two there was already enough equity there in my own accommodation I could draw down, and then I could invest as deposit in my first rental property. So these are the numbers. I bought it for 81,000, then I sold it 7 years later for 224,000. Capital profit therefore was 143,000, that minus that. So if you divide that by 7, it went up on average 20,000 a year. Now my initial deposit, 81,000 times 25%, was about 20,000. So in other words, it was giving me 100% per annum, just looking at forgetting tax, just looking at the cash flow, just looking at the capital gain. I was getting 100% per annum on my deposit, which is absolutely incredible. And in addition to that, there was also rental profit, so I actually got more than that. I did spend a little bit of money refurbing it, but not very much, just a couple of thousand. I put in a partition to create a room, and I put some carpets down, so I didn't bother including that. But that just shows a phenomenal return, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I sourced this property through an estate agent. It was the first one I ever did, and I was already getting incredible returns. Now and then, so I thought, well, this is great. Well, so I did a similar thing a year later. I just bought another property because the same thing happened. No, I had two properties, my own one and my rental, and they both went up. And then I had two chunks of extra equity that I could draw down, and bought this property, which is another 5-bedroom end of terrace in London. So these were pictures of the property before I did any refurbs. It wasn't too bad, but I did chuck all this furniture away and put new stuff in. I purchased, so this is pretty similar really. I cost 82,000, sold it 7 years later for 225. Capital profit 143,000, that minus that. Over 7 years, 20,000 per annum. Initial deposit 20,000. So again, I put actually 20,000 cash in, and then 7 years later I got 140,000 cash profit. So it's about 100% a year again. So pretty amazing. Also bought some flats in Milton Keynes, which I bought 3 flats in Milton Keynes, which also did very well. The capital growth was not quite as strong there, so it was slightly less. So I did all that without really knowing what I was doing. It was just buy and hold, and I was fortunate. It was a very strongly rising market in those days. So in September 2011, my life changed again when I just started educating myself in property. I did Simon Zuch's Mastermind 10, and then after that I did Progressive Properties VIP, which is a year-long course, and then I did many more courses as well as that, and I did that all up, and I spent well over 40,000. But as you can see, if I'm making 160,000 on one property, it's well worth investing 40,000 in my education if it can make me do things more intelligently. So this is an example of another property. So this one I did about a year after I did the Mastermind, and this was sourced using leaflets. So I put an ad in the paper. These people came around my house to deliver leaflets. I had to interview them, then I give them a big pile of leaflets that I got printed saying, do you want to sell your house? Give me a call. And then I gave them I had a little A to Z map of the local area, which I photocopied. I gave them a page of the map book, and I said, this is your area, deliver around here. And then they would go and deliver the leaflets around the houses. And some people, you could tell some people just didn't deliver them at all, because I just wouldn't get any calls from that area, which is fine. I didn't use them again, but the others, I'd get a lot of calls. And a lot weren't interested, but some were really motivated. This guy was particularly motivated. His name was Dennis. I remember him quite well. I went inside, had a cup of tea with him there, and he told me he used to work in Parliament, and he actually met Margaret Thatcher once. And he wanted to sell his house, and it was a real mess, as you can see. And it's just a single guy, lived there for a few decades, and obviously interior design was not really his cup of tea. So it's basically unmortgageable. I don't think anyone would be able to get a mortgage to buy this. So rightly or wrongly, the mortgage companies do not like lending on this sort of badly decorated property like this. So I offered to buy it at a big discount. We haggled about the price, but we agreed on 165,000, which was a great deal for me, because if I spent some money refurbing it, it would be worth considerably more. And in some ways it was a good deal for him, because he presumably didn't have the money or knowledge how to refurb it. It wasn't something he wanted to do. Maybe he didn't particularly need to getting the most amount of money for this wasn't his prime motivation. His prime motivation was just to go and live with his girlfriend in another part of the country as quickly as possible. So he's willing to accept a lower price than he could have got if he'd have done it up. So the price I negotiated was 165,000. So I paid 41,000 deposit. Refurb costs came to 30,000. I got this team of Polish builders in who were not the greatest of a team I've seen in the world, and they used to do things like they used to leave all the radiators on at full blast and then go off to Poland for a week for Christmas and stuff like that. But they got it looking nice at the end of the day, so I can't complain. So I ended up paying 41,000 deposit, 30,000 refurb. So I invested 71,000 cash in there, which is that 71,000. But my actual profit but then I got it revalued. This was 3 months later. I got it revalued at 225,000, which was the true market value if it had been in good condition. So in other words, so that's a 30,000 profit, which is 225 minus 165 plus 30 is 195. So that's sort of how much the house cost plus the refurbs is 195, and it was valued at 225. So I did 30,000 of value, and I'd spent 71,000. 30 divided by 71 is 42%, but I did all that in 3 months. So annualized over a year, that's 168%. So I could have flipped that. I decided to keep it and rent it out in the end. So, but this is an example of intelligent sourcing, buying below market value and using the BRR, buy, refurb, and then refinance or sell. In this case, refinanced. So there are various strategies either that I've used in the past or want to use. So buy below market value, also buy unmortgageable properties and fix them up. So those first 2 points are what I did in that previous case study. Another strategy I want to do in the future is buy a short lease flats, where there's only 65 years or less left on the lease, so they're unmortgageable. So in a similar way, I make them mortgageable by extending the lease, and then it's worth a lot more than I actually spend doing that. Also want to get into commercial to residential conversions, because the cost per square foot of residential property is far, far more than the cost per square foot of a commercial property. And it used to be you had to go through full planning to convert it, but now the government, over the last year, the government has made it a lot easier to do commercial to residential conversions. They've introduced Class E for shops or offices. So in other words, we can get planning permission under permitted development rights to convert to residential property as long as it's been empty for a period before. So it makes it a lot easier and more certain to get the planning permission to convert to residential. And it's a relatively cheap thing to do to actually convert. You just convert an office to a bedroom or a lounge, maybe add a toilet here and there, or a bathroom or something. That's something different to get into. Or it could be just even getting through the planning stage, buying a commercial property or doing an option on commercial, getting the permitted development through. You've already increased the value quite a lot, and then I can sell the option at that point and make a large amount of money. The other thing I'm actually in the process of doing at the moment, which is a brilliant deal, is to get an option to buy land, to get planning permission and resell. I recently got an option to buy some land near Stansted Airport, 0.33 of an acre, I believe I can get planning permission for 3 4-bedroom houses in there, which would have a gross development value of about 2.2 million. So the land I should be able to sell at that point for, say, 720,000. My option is to buy the land for 500,000. So if I buy the land for 500, sell it for 720, I get 220,000 profit. My only outlay on that was doing the option, which literally just cost £2,000 in legal fees. So that's an incredible return. Potentially 220,000 profit for 2,000 outlay. So I'm very much looking for these sort of intelligent deals with massive returns. Sample investments. So if you wanted to invest, work with me. So this is just a pure example. 50,000 loans, although we could consider less than that. And the idea would be flexible term, project dependent, often less than 2 years. 5 to 10% per annum, interest paid, flat rate, depending on the risk. And it could be secured against personal guarantee or development property. So it's a secured loan for 5 to 10%, and that's much, much better than what you could get with in the bank, or the average amount you get in stocks and shares. And with stocks and shares, I've invested a few times in the past, and quite often they've just gone down and I've lost money. Exit strategies. Various exit strategies available: loan repayment, project ending, property refinancing or sale. So it depends on the individual project, and it could be paid on termination or final sale or refinancing. Or it could be, the loan could be assured from equity within total portfolio. We're quite flexible how hands-on you want to be. So some people want to look over our shoulder, be involved in decision making, or take on tasks. Other people just want to sit back, relax, enjoy the benefits, and let me do all the work. So it's up to you really. And also we can structure it we always structure it with a legal loan. We've always each have our own solicitor to protect ourselves and make sure we both understand what we've agreed to, and secure it against existing property by deed of trust or personal guarantee. It could be a formal JV agreement, deed of trust, or could be a shareholding in businesses or developments. So there's several ways of doing it. Just why don't you consider working with me and let me increase your wealth? I know what I'm doing, and I can definitely help you both with short-term projects, short-term loans, and also over the longer term. And I think it makes a lot of sense to work together with someone. We're both bringing something to the project. I'm bringing my expertise, my many years of experience, not only as a property investor and developer, but also my years as a chartered accountant, so really understanding the numbers and so on. So I'm bringing all that, you're bringing the money. Together we can achieve a lot more than if we try and do things separately. So it just makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm all about collaborating and working with people. Let's just explore possibilities. Just get in touch with me. We'll have a Zoom call, or if you're local, we'll meet up for coffee and bounce around a few ideas and just see if there's any way we can work together.